Which apple? I ended up finding some Braeburn apples. You can use Braeburn, John and Gold will work. Honeycrisp will work too. They were like $1 more a pound at the store. So I'm just gonna wash them. I'm gonna core them, I'm gonna peel them, I'm gonna cut them up really small. You need a sharp knife. What else goes in the pie is 3 tablespoons of flour, a half a cup of sugar, a dash of salt, a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, and a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. Gone ahead and peeled 6 apples. And in case you don't know, this is a peeler. You can use it to peel potatoes or apples. Works okay. They hold up for a while and then they lose their edge. But yeah, so now I'm gonna go ahead and cut them, get the cores and the seeds out, and then cut them into small slices and then add them to the dry. Cut the apples off the cores. One thing I noticed, some of these apples are looking pretty rough. It's pretty late. These apples were probably harvested 6 months ago, maybe 7 months ago. And I just read an article where they said apples will keep up to 14 months. They actually sell apples in the grocery store sometimes 14 months after they were picked. So some of this can still be used, but I might cut around that, or I might just go ahead and do that other apple. So anyway, the apples are all cut up. I just dumped them into the dry. I like to cut them fairly thin. It's just personal preference. Some people cut big chunks. One thing I wanted to say about cutting, I couldn't really demonstrate today because I'm by myself, but when you cut, just take your time. There's no hurry. Just do it right. I also don't like to move the knife. I like to move whatever I'm cutting towards the knife. So you sort of push it, and you use I've always used 3 fingers, or sometimes I've used 3 fingers and, you know, like this, and I'll just sort of push it like that. Gordon Ramsay does a pretty good demonstration in some of his videos. But anyway, I'll try to do a demonstration one time if I remember to, but I'm by myself today. So anyway, I'm going to mix the dry ingredients around and coat these apples really good, and then I'm going to dump them into the pie crust. I'd say something about the pie crust really quick. This is refrigerated pie crust. Came from the store in a 2-pack. My wife hates when I use these. She thinks it's lazy, and honestly, it probably doesn't taste as good. I've had compliments about my homemade pie crust on the boat when I was making it, but I wanted to show you this way because it's a quicker method if you don't have a lot of time. If you're working on a boat, a lot of times maybe you only have a little bit of time to make a meal, or you get off deck and you've got to throw something together, and then you have to go back out on deck, and you come in and check on it, but you're working the whole time. So I just wanted to give you an idea. Yeah, absolutely. If you have the time to make pie crust, you probably should. But I wanted to show you this way, and it works fine, especially when you're in a hurry. All my apples are pretty well coated with the dry mixture, and now I'm ready to dump them into the pie crust. Okay, we've got our filling in the pie crust, and this is a tablespoon of butter total, cut into thirds. Put that on top. Now we're ready to top our pie with the second pie crust, and I'm just going to use a little bit of water. It's just my own technique. I don't know if everybody does this or not. I never asked my wife. I should ask her. And I just get it just wet a little bit. I'm going to finish that up, and I'll show you why. The 2 crusts together, and the water seems to help with that. And I'm just going to go around. I'm actually going to use both my thumbs and press and go around. So I'm going to do that, and I'll show you what it looks like when I'm finished. Okay, that's the pie crust put together. I've got a few more things to do. I'm going to go ahead and cut the edge around just to make a nice clean edge. And then I'm going to brush some egg white on the top, and I'm going to cut vent slits in it. And I'll do that, and then we'll show you what it's looking like next. My pie is ready to go into a 350-degree preheated oven. The vent slits have been cut. The egg white has been put on the top with a brush. And you might notice this aluminum foil looks a little strange, but I've noticed over the years that my edge seems to get brown a little faster. So I'll put that on there just for half the time, and I take it off about halfway through. We'll cook this for about 45 minutes. Also, you might notice I put it on top of a cookie sheet, and the reason I put it on top of that was if we get any of the filling boil over, I don't want it to be all over the oven and smoke out my house, and you don't want that in your galley. So put this in the oven, and we'll see how it looks when we're done. Okay, this was kind of a long video, but I wanted to explain everything really clearly. I hope you liked this video on making an apple pie. I explained a dash of salt, if that's a question anyone has. I explained that in the making cupcakes to use or not to use paper baking cups. I think that was published on February 22nd. So check that video out if you haven't. Maybe we'll kind of start doing a dessert, make it into a series or something. But I just want to go over as many things as I can think of. So if anybody has any suggestions, leave it down in the comments below, and I'll answer your questions or try to get to, if it's possible for me to do it, I'll make it for you. So just let me know what you want. Thank you, and thanks for watching.